Hello, this is Bill Clodsey. Welcome to a modern cube draft online. They did a good job of updating this cube with artifact ramp, and it makes me pretty excited about it. It's got a lot of the cool stuff you can do in modern, plus some other stuff you don't usually see. Ramp is good, control is good, combo. We will try it out. This is a pack that has a lot of potential, since it does tend to be a more mid-range cube and less combo-centric than other formats. You've got Sower of Temptation, very good. Bitter Blossom is powerful to start with. Hornet Queen is surprisingly hard to beat. Well, maybe unsurprisingly, but surprisingly easy to cast. And Liliana of the Veils, or Liliana of the Last Hope is a good one, similar to the Veil. A lot of options here. It's just what direction you want to take it. And I think we go Sower of Temptation here. It does a good job of, playing off your opponent's deck. We still haven't fixed this bug where you don't see full art cards until you zoom in or take them. But that's fine, we'll deal with it. Condescend. There isn't a ton of 2-mana counter magic, but the 2-mana counter magic there is very good, like Condescend. Well, it counters it for 2 mana if they tap out. Otherwise, the late game, it's just a hard counter. And the Scry is nice. Powerful spell. Then there's Censor and Negate, Essence Scatter, those kind of things. Very good picks. To follow up our Sower of Temptation, I think it's got to be Condescend here. Although, other good options, Kolaghan's Command, some powerful creatures, Avenger of Zendikar for the ramp deck. And this guy, Spiketail Drake, I suppose is fine, but your opponent does get to play around it, even if it does make all of their stuff too more expensive. There we go. Yeah, so here's some good 2-mana counter magic, but there's also Keranos, which is a little above the filler cube cards. Resolve this, you're usually going to win the game after a few turns. As long as you can protect yourself for a few turns, it does help you out by drawing more cards and doing damage. So Lightning Bolts. I will take that here over Essence Scatter, even though it puts us into a second color. The fixing should not be that hard to get. Well, now that we're red-blue, we could look at some more of these red options, and combo, like Pestermite would be kind of a red option here because you're hoping to combo it with Kiki Jiki. Since it is the modern cube, I don't think Splinter Twin is in the cube, but who knows. There's also just Goblin Rabblemaster, which goes for some quick wins. I think Pestermite, it's a little early to take that. I'm going to go with Goblin Rabblemaster here. It just wins on its own, much like Keranos. They have to deal with it or they lose. What I don't want to do is go into a pure aggro deck like Stromkirk Noble. It could be powerful, but that is not what I'm interested in for this draft. Because it gives you a lot of throwaway cards that don't do anything if you're even or behind. I'd rather have something that just wins on its own. Anyway, Stoke the Flames, Char, has some burn options, which can kill creatures, so they're a bit better than pure aggro. And then Elish Norn, which is going to be hard to cast. Wake Thrasher, which is pretty cool. And Reflector Mage if we want to go into another color. Tough one. I'll go with Reflector Mage here. Good old Jeskai control. Two good ones, Pact of Negation and Riftwing Cloudskate. I'm going to protect our investments with Pact of Negation here. It's always a good one. What's this guy? Nissa, Steward of Elements. Not interested in going into green yet. I will say the Cloudskate is surprisingly good. It just looks like some random creature, but pretty easy to get going early. Still go for the pack there. Mindbender is interesting. This is a weird pack for us because we're not seeing much in the way of blue, and the red cards also aren't that great. Hazoret might be good enough here. It's another god. And, you know, it doesn't work so well with the control strategy, but it does win on its own. I'll go for that. You don't want to stock up on cards in your hand with Hazoret. But it looks like maybe we're just being past a very aggressive red deck. And you can't fight it for that long if we get past Shrine of Burning Rage, one of the best red cards you can ask for. And it's not even red. Yeah, I'll go for that here. There's some decent blue options, but nothing exciting. Delver is hard to build a cube deck around Delver. You just need a lot of spells, and it doesn't always work out that way. Pyroclasm and Firecraft. All right, let's give in. Let's give in to the aggro plan here. Pyroclasm, more of a control card. Firecraft is just a card that does 4 damage. So you don't need too many cards that do 4 damage before you win the game. Jinxed Choker can do a lot of damage, but it's slow and clunky, and I don't want to do it. So there we go. Koth is back. You can't say I didn't try not to draft mono red, but definitely going into that. That's another one of those, you know, top 8 cube red cards. Not in this pack though. Arc Trail is kind of neat. At least the 2 damage can go to the player. You can do something like 2 damage to them and kill an elf on an early turn. That's very good. The Prophetic Flame Speaker is this kind of awkward red card draw that, you know, unless you have a way of pumping this, it's not that aggressive of a creature. Precursor Golem is a good one. That is an aggressive creature, it just is a little bit too expensive. 9 power for 5 mana is a lot. Anyway, Karizev's back. Yeah, that just fits into the strategy. Fine, Stromkirk Noble. If we do take this super aggressive route, we will want the 1-drops. And Stoke the Flames is another very good one, but we already have things to do with that mana. These Raptors. Players can't gain life. Well, we definitely don't want them gaining life. A good sign that we're getting our Sower, or rather, our Gargadon last pick, even though that might not make the deck. I hesitate to remove Keranos from the deck because it is so powerful, but a lot of this seems like it will not make it. Here we have some Planeswalkers, Ajani, Jace, the Mind Sculptor, making his appearance back in Modern, both in Constructed and Cube, apparently. Vraska the Unseen, awesome. I just love this art. It's always been one of my favorite cards, but not for this deck. Do we have anything super aggressive? Not in red, but we do have a colorless option here. Porcelain Legionnaire, 2 mana, 3/1 first strike. You can't get much more aggressive than that, and every aggressive deck will want it. Even against an aggressive deck, it's a good blocker. Wildfire is a deck on its own, but pretty bad for the aggressive player. And the Regent is fine, but there are better 4-drops, and we have 2 of them. Next up. Wow, sweet pack. Scalding Tarn could help us cast Keranos. A lot of these red cards might wheel. Scalding Tarn would be good just in a mono red deck, because we don't care about our life total, and fetching, it has some effect to draw less lands. Yeah, that looks good here. Stagger Shock is 4 damage for a spell, so you can't do too bad with that. The thing is, red is open on this table, so we're not going to lack playables. We just want to get the most consistent deck we can. And that, yeah, that's a good place to be. We got the Rabblemaster, we got the Ferocidon. Who is on this table? No one wants red here. Minimize, SRW, Polite Aggression, SGT Skill Shot, Dominano, 11 Hour, and Sky Hunter. Well, we know it's good. We know mono red is good. Searing Blaze, nice. This is pretty consistent in a mono red deck because it is double red, which is a heavy cost. But 3 to them and 3 to their creature for 2 mana. It's like 2 lightning bolts for the price of 1. Well, for the price of 2, but for 1 card. Alesha, yeah, it's a fine card. It's just like a bad version of Porcelain Legionnaire, since we won't be able to activate it because that's dipping into Mardu mana. Searing Blaze, pretty easy. Kargan Dragonlord, a fun one to set up. It's a lot of mana to get going, but even if you don't have the mana to invest, it's a 2/2 for 2, and not hard to cast. Then there's Boggart Ram Gang. You got a 3/3 haste for 3, and that'll always come down on time, unless we're splashing our island. Yeah, 3/3 haste for 3 with Wither, which is like the light version of Infect. So this is just for creatures. It doesn't give your opponent poison counters. I don't actually know what we want. There's even some argument for Ral Zarek, but it's likely enough we don't even end up splashing any blue. So I could see either of these. Let's take the Ram Gang. Dragonlord is more likely to wheel. What is this thing? Destroy target land you control and target land you don't control for 2 mana. Pretty cheap. And then for 6 mana, destroy all lands. I don't like it. It's okay, but you just build a board and then slow them down for pretty cheap. And if you happen to get up to 6 mana, you probably end the game. But yeah, a little more expensive than the Armageddon effects in white. Sarkhan Dragon Speaker, pretty much just a 5 mana dragon. Hero of Oxid Ridge. Let's go with Grafted War Gear. It's our first piece of equipment. It attaches pretty easily, and you just move it around and make whatever threat you play into a practically unbeatable thing. Signets are back. Yeah, these are this is what makes the cube fun. You can do cool stuff in any color now. These are cheap, they get things going early, they're very high picks. Not so good in the mono red deck, but yeah, some decks will stay away from them, so you can usually get a couple. Anyway, Collective Defiance, 3 damage to an opponent, can help draw some cards, and just the best card in this pack for us. Ire Shaman, Thriving Grubs. You got to give a lot of respect to any of these 3-power 2 mana creatures. And this one doesn't look like it has 3 power, but it does, because you're never going to want to block with it. There's also Vanguard, another good one. It's just not our colors. And Ire Shaman, another good one, but I think we actually want the Grubs over Ire Shaman. Just more consistent turn 2 play. Exotic Orchard. Cool. You get mana that your opponent could produce. We don't need it. We'll let him have it. Bedlam Reveler. In the blue-red spells deck, this is quite powerful. Nothing in this pack is something we're really interested in. Even Sheltered Thicket. You could splash this. You don't have to play it on color. But we want our lands to come in untapped. So I'll just take Banefire. I also don't like the fireball effects in this deck. You could play 1, but I don't want to play many lands. So the better this is, the worse the rest of our deck is. Regent is back, no problem. And we get Stagger Shock back. It's a good idea to keep an eye on our spell count, our instant and sorcery count. We don't have many. If we had a ton of them, we could look at taking Young Pyromancer, obviously a great card, but Stagger Shock is going to be better here. Kill opposing little creatures. Alesha versus Staff of Nin. Staff is a little too expensive. Alesha fits in well enough to the deck. Kargun's back. Good deal. Yeah, it was that or Boggart Ram Gang. Maybe they both wheel, but Boggart Ram Gang could be in some aggressive green deck. Or green-red ramp deck, whereas the Dragonlord has to be in mono-red. This thing, Hero of Oxid Ridge. Yeah, that's going to do more damage on average than Sarkhan. Ire Shaman last pick. We already have a deck. We have one more pack to clean up our picks, to upgrade some of our cards, and to completely remove red. Mainly we're looking for 1-drops, and Awesome spells. Not the best pack we could look for, but you don't always get a sweet card of every color. Mutavault is an option. We're going to be heavy red for cards like the Dragon Lord and the Ram Gang, so we don't even want that many colorless lands. But generally this is good in a monocolored deck, especially with some tribal synergy like Rabblemaster. Yeah, it might be worth it. Ashiok would be my first pick out of this pack. This card is nuts in Limited. I think the art's pretty cool here too. The Vraska we saw and this are pretty awesome. It's just a cool looking Planeswalker. You open this in a pack and then you kind of smile to yourself. Anyway, Direfleet, Daredevil. That's the red card in the pack. Pretty good. First strike, and maybe your opponent has a spell you can take advantage of. If not, it's not the end of the world. We're going to pick up these fetch lands whenever we see them, unless there's something ridiculous in the pack, but that is not Zealous Conscripts. We don't have Kiki Jiki yet. Good cards here. We don't want to play against Harvester, because that has the lifelink. But yeah, Bloodstained Mire it is. What is our curve looking like? It's looking pretty aggressive. Alright, another 2-mana, 3/2 creature for the purposes of a deck like this, the Gorehouse Chainwalker. Where are the 1-mana spells? There's Flame Slash, but we're looking good for removal at this point, so... And Loyal Legions. This is like the white version of Shrine of Burning Rage, and it makes little colorless Myr tokens. So tokens instead of damage. But yeah, we'll take the Chainwalker. And think about what other cards we're cutting from the 2-drop slot. Ire Shaman is more like a 3-drop. Not a huge fan of the Ram Gang. It's the kind of card that you can just chump attack into any creature, because if it's blocked by a bigger creature, it's going to make it a smaller one, so you get some advantage out of that. Nice. Here's another Signet type card, the Chalice. Very good if you're ramping up to Karn or Ugin or anything, really. Ramping. But we're not ramping, so let's take Lightning Mauler, which does a good job of upgrading some of our picks here. Like, we don't want Alesha, that's one of the weaker cards. And Pia is good. Is that going to be better than Boggart Ram Gang? Ram Gang is cool with grafted war gear. Any card with haste is going to make the war gear better. Firecraft is better than Defiance. Reckoner is very good. Cut Ire Shaman. Looks a bit strange, but we want to maximize the power. So any 3-power guy on turn 2 is going to be better than a 3-power guy on turn 4 or whatever this thing comes down as. Regent is an early cut. We could bring that back in. I'll cut the Ram Gang. And we have another gang, the Siege Gang, with its commander. And that's funny. This thing says it's a commander, right? But it can't be your commander. That's too bad. Also coming back in Dominaria. Electrolyze if we were in blue, but we're not. We cut blue a long time ago. Siege Gang Commander. Abbott, very similar to Ire Shaman. These rares, I mean, they're good. They're just not that exciting. Might be running out of red cards coming back. That's alright. We'll just have to throw in a couple of these cards from our graveyard. Here's Zealous Conscripts. Ooh, I like Zealous Conscripts a lot. Especially when you can do something like steal a Planeswalker and use its ultimate. Plan that out. Pia and Kieran, very good, but we don't have much going on at the 5-drop slot, besides maybe Siege Gang, but I'll take the conscripts here. Release the Gremlins, our first piece of good artifact removal. Again, we have some good removal already without Flame Slash. So I'm going to take Release for the sideboard. Flame Slash would be... I'd probably main deck that. It's an efficient way of dealing with something. We didn't see a lot of cheap burn in the draft, like lightning bolts, and also not many cheap creatures, but Modern Cube is more about your 2-drops than your 1-drops, I think. Late Censor, very good card. There's no drawback here. You just pay 1, cycle this, and then sometimes you catch some giant monster. So I do like a Censor. Grizzlebrand, get in there. Oops, Brawl, get out of there. This will be an aggressive one. To think about how many lands we want to play. We probably run 1 more card here, and that could be the Abbot. Not a bad card to draw late. I wonder what's better, Abbot or Ire Shaman? Prowess versus Menace. That's a tough one. I think Menace is a little better. It does depend on the rest of your deck, but with our game plan, Menace might be a bit better. And that probably makes Ire Shaman better, right? Even though it doesn't happen the turn it comes in, you're going to have more mana left over the turn you flip it. So yeah, I think I like Ire Shaman better. Gorehouse Chainwalker can get in there. That is one I like. And then if we play these 2 5-drops and this Kargon, maybe we get away with more lands. Hazoret can also discard extra lands. So that is... These are some powerful mana sinks for mono red. $16 lands. Yeah, I like it. With Mutavault being a spell land and 2 fetches to thin things out. So we're not playing the blue, which is too bad because Keranos is quite nice. I think if we had 1 fetchable blue-red land, we could get away with it. Maybe play 1 island, but maybe not. Maybe we wouldn't even need that with 3 sources. Anything we're really missing out on in the sideboard? There's no combo with Gargadon. It's always a fine card to put in your deck, but I'm not a huge fan of it. It works well with stealing your opponent's things because then you can sacrifice their card to remove a counter from it. Or with balance or whatever, because you can sacrifice the lands too. If you're about to use Armageddon to destroy all lands, well, you just sacrifice all your lands to begin with. Destructive Force, too expensive. Some of it's just trading in and out our creatures, or maybe a burn spell. So this is a good build here. The lands are going to be easy. We just fill in with more mountains here. 13 mountains. Great, mono red in the Modern Cube. Let's see how many people we can surprise with our speed. Round 1 versus Fuzzy Thantos 2. There must have been someone else who stole that highly coveted name. Our best hands are going to have our 1-drop, but we only have 1 in the deck. And this is pretty good considering that we're missing out on that sweet play, except we would love to draw a land in the near future. Unleashed. Get our 3/2 guy. We're not interested in blocking. Red-blue, or red versus blue-green. And our elves. Okay, that's a good one for Searing Blaze, even if we don't find our land drop. Now we have something to do. What if they played 2? If they played 2, that would have been great. But I guess they just needed to filter the land. Okay, first target, second target. That should slow them down. Hopefully they miss a land drop. They obviously didn't have a forest, or they would have played that. Now they have a coast. They didn't want to spend the life for it, so they could have had the coast. Come on, land. Land, and then we can likely kill whatever this is. Unless it has 4 toughness, which it could. Okay, it is cultivate. Can't kill that. Now they have all the forests they need. Finding a 2-drop, a playable 2-drop, is better than nothing. Better than another 5-drop. Flooded Grove. Yeah, it's cool art here. We do a lot of good land arts. I guess the coast maybe isn't so good, but this is old art. And it's fine. You know, it gets the message across. Explore, so they have more land drops here. They've played their forest we knew about. So they have a ton of lands, but not a ton of life. Oh no, Oblivion Stone. So we have to do a lot of damage this turn. We can cut them in half, and then Searing Blaze and Stagger Shock could finish them off. So the plan is to draw land here. We get it. We get the land. They pretty much have to use Oblivion Stone next turn. So there's no use playing our Ferocidon out. Let's just get them down to 6. And we should probably Stagger Shock them now. Because, well, yeah, whatever. It didn't matter. I didn't want something like Mystic Snake coming down. And if they counter it, we don't get the rebound. So this gives them more information, but less opportunity. Sheldock Isle, they're not getting another turn, so... Well, they might, actually. If we draw land, we're okay. Even if they don't draw a creature. Well, they can't draw a creature, so pretty much land we win, and no land we still win. Just not as soon. Are they going to counter this? Maybe it is Mystic Snake. You can counter the second half. The problem is you don't want them to counter the first half, because then that counters both halves. Yeah, Snake would be funny here. It's almost more likely that we win if they counter this, because then they can't use the stone. They sure are thinking about every possible little movement they're making. Aha, Cryptic Command. That is a good answer to what we have going on here. And it means we're just going to pass it back. Land would have won it here. I really want to force them to use their cards. Yeah, what I'm going to do is play the Rampaging Ferocidon. Looks a bit strange. Now they have even more reason to play Oblivion Stone, but our hand is full of stuff we can do, even if we don't draw another land. But what we could do is like Searing Blaze and Lightning Mauler on the same turn if we draw the land. Tough one to close out without getting what we need. Now we're at 20 life, so we do have time to top deck some more burn. Of course, some of the finishers in the format don't give you much time after they come down. So there goes Oblivion Stone. Here comes some kind of thing. Once either of us is down to 20 or less cards, they get to get their free card, but that won't happen this turn. Okay. Nissa. Scrying 2. We'll never get a target for this Searing Blaze, because you do need to target a creature they control. Pretty much, if we draw land, we win. If we don't draw land, the fight continues. As has been the case for most of the game. Great. Oh no, here it is. If we play Koth, I guess it's safer to play Hero. You can look at the land and select it and see if it's newly controlled or not. I'm just right-clicking on it. So the top one, as you might expect, is the newly controlled one. But things get a little stranger when you start tapping the lands. Great, sideboarding. We might be interested in Release the Gremlins. They have one artifact we care about. But a lot of their ramp is going to be creature-based, so maybe this is not as good. We can rely on our burn to finish things. Keep it like this. Opponent is down to 6. We've got our trusty 2-drops and even some lands here. Pretty easy keep. Never even have to worry about the color of our lands. So it's just a numbers game. Oh, we get a perfect draw. The best draw. The best draw on the draw. So it would have been awkward if we were on the play, because then we have to decide between a Noble and a Chain Walker. That's just what we could get to hit with first. We'd probably play the Chain Walker. Make sure we can hit with this thing before going nuts. They have open mana, so I don't want to give them any more information than we have to. And it's cube, so if you're not completely comfortable with the cube, you know every single card, you have to be a little more careful than you might have to be in certain draft formats, because there are a lot of weird things that could happen. Whereas if I knew blue-green didn't have any interaction, in a standard set, you know, you just play the Chain Walker and attack there. Never hurts to do things carefully, though, and Cube teaches you to do that. You're like, I did not know my opponent could do that. And now that I know that, I will play differently. Scalding Tarn, probably best to get that out. I also want to Stagger Shock this Nissa to keep hitting. Now, it's an elf, so it could just block our Noble. I think she's like a half-elf. I could be wrong, who knows. But anyway, it can block our Noble, who can't be blocked by humans. But it can't block if it's no longer with us. Oh, it also can't block if they never let us attack. Okay, we're getting there. Let's shock it. And they had to mulligan here, so they're not doing as well as they could be doing. They did have Opt and an Evolving Wild, so they are finding a bit of what they need. PNLR, we don't need any more lands, which is part of the reason to fetch there. No other reason. Oh no, Threads of Disloyalty. At least when they steal it, it remains tapped. We just have to shock them. Arc Trail. Oh no, if we knew we were drawing that, we could have finished off the Noble. But that's okay. That will be for the next thing. And Pia's pretty cool. We have a hard to block Thopter that we can pump later. They're already pretty low, and we can even attack Pia into the noble, which can't be blocked by our Pia. So it did come up. It was relevant this game, just not in the way we would have liked. And they might just not attack with it because they're pretty low. So what is it? Converted mana cost 2 or less. Okay, so it doesn't matter how big it gets. They will keep it. And I don't think there's many ways of changing the converted mana cost of a permanent, so that looks like it's there to stay. Cool. What do we do here? They get to untap all their creatures? That's no fun. Arc Trail can punish them a little bit here. They're going to keep getting in with that noble. Let's just attack with the Chainwalker and the Thopter, because it's the last chance Chainwalker has of killing something. They could have counter magic, but yeah, they have to use it. And that's their forest they found with Nissa. Let's pump the Thopter. Let the damage go through and finish off the noble, if they let us. Cool, they are at 5. So 2 more hits with the Thopter should do it. And if we draw something good, that could end it. They didn't have anything to play on our turn. Prophet lets you cast creatures as though they had flash, so they could have flashed in a 5-drop at the end of our turn, because they untap all of their lands and their creatures. This card is nuts. But you have to have the cards it supports. Oh no, they're gonna body double Nissa? Yeah. A weird clone effect. It's kind of like a half clone, half reanimate for 5 and in blue. Because they got Nissa back, they get another forest, but they're not up to 7 to flip this thing. And they can't flip it because it doesn't have a backside. Oh, we can opt. Get to steal an instant or sorcery from our opponent's graveyard for the turn. And it gives up some damage with the Thopter, but probably it's best overall. Don't counter it. Wouldn't be the worst if they countered it. We just attack for 3 with our Thopter. What are they up to? Torrential Gearhulk, so they can cast their own opt. Fair enough. You got... Yep, that works. That does it. They're getting a lot of power out, too. They do have a lot of power, so we have to kill them sooner rather than later. This means we know they don't have a flying blocker. They could have actually waited in response to our Daredevil, but who knows. Maybe they wanted to find a counterspell. We could give their Torrential Gearhulk a boost, but no. Instead, we will attack for 3. The Thopter isn't lethal next turn if we lose our Pia. That's one awkward part of this story. But if Pia lives, we have 3 lethal creatures and 1 lethal creature in the air. Exploring, good sign for us. Too bad they didn't do it earlier, so they had a couple targets for our Daredevil. It might turn out better that we used that mana on opt, because it doesn't let you cast it for free, unlike the 6 mana version Torrential Gearhulk. So they might be thinking about playing their 7th land, but the problem is you have to exile Nissa when you play your 7th land. And then you can return her transformed, except it doesn't have a transformed side, so maybe it stays exiled, or maybe it comes back as body double. Return her to the battlefield transformed. So I don't actually know how that works. I assume it just stays exiled because you can't return it transformed. But who knows? That's my guess. We'll see what happens. I know if you steal your opponent's Nissa and flip it, then they get it back as the Planeswalker. So another reason to be careful. They're at 2. They're tapped out. They got Nissa. That could have almost killed us. They have all kinds of Nissas going around here. Scrying is not going to help. So it looks like we've got this game. They just want to use as much more time than us as they possibly can. Great. So let us... Oh, and they untap everything. So so it's not over. It's not necessarily over. But they're at 2. So let's do this trick. We're going to turn this thing up. Maybe we find a land. We find a land. Yes, play the land. And then attack. Target creature can't block this turn. We can only do that to one of their blockers, so it doesn't really make sense to attack and then in response to some weird thing sack our Thopter. Okay, so we attack with our Thopter. Make sure they don't block it. Now they find a blocker, or is this Cryptic Command to bounce our Thopter? I don't know. Oh, it is Cryptic Command, and they're drawing a card. Oh, we can counter it by sacrificing the Thopter. That's pretty cool. Target creature can't block. Every bit helps. And now we have Mutavault up to block if that becomes important. Yeah, these are the cool interactions you get in a cube. Pays to know what you're dealing with. Any kind of effect with one target like this, even though it has multiple effects, just gets completely countered if you remove its only target. Multiple targets, they're fine. You just need to have the targets when you cast the spell. So get wrecked, or maybe that's us soon because we don't have enough to finish this game. Yeah. Right now we actually have lethal attackers, but let's see what happens. They did scry. They went top, so they knew what they were about to get. Didn't they? And it just wasn't something they could do? Okay, look at the top card. If it's a land card or creature that's small enough, put it into the battlefield. But they used it and they didn't get anything, even though they scried 2 cards to the top. So I don't know what that was about. Okay, definitely taking 5 because that leaves us with lethal attackers here, especially with our Menace Ire Shaman. or only with our Menasire Shaman. But yeah, let's go for it, because this is pretty much the last turn we can afford to. Everything at them. Kind of like 5 lethal creatures here. Nice. We get there. Round 2, and our opponent is unsure. About some things, at least. They know they want to be on the play. Scalding Tarn. About as well as we can do here. Oh, they know it's good. Signet's coming up. Looks like Esper Control. Come on, 2-drop. Oh well. The deck has a lot of 2-drops. It's sad to miss one. But enough going on here that I don't want to mulligan. Now we'll draw our 2-drop. Yep. But let's play Pia. It's actually just as much attacking power as Kari Zev. It just uses better mana, except plays worse around Censor. If we knew they had Censor in the deck, I'd be tempted to play Kari Zev, but it could be anything at this point. 4 mana. Maybe if they had just 2 mana up and we knew they had Censor, we'd play Kari Zev. Of course, if we knew they had it in their hand, but if we only knew they had it in the deck. And yeah, we can't do much against hard removal like that. But here, drawing a second 2-drop actually makes it not so bad. Lingering Souls. That's like drawing 4 2-drops for 1 card. 4 bad 2-drops. Red. So Grixis splashing white? They've just got all kinds of good stuff. All kinds of good colors. They'll probably, yeah, minus that. We'll have to try to kill Ral Zarek in some way. And a cute way of doing that is going to be to use the conscripts. Hopefully they don't have Force of Will. Well, they probably don't have Force of Will. Or anything like that. Shoot. I meant to use Ral Zarek, but I F6'd instead. Yeah, we should have just killed a spirit. Now we can kill Ral Zarek and do 3 damage to them, but I'd much rather have our creature in play, even if it gives them a creature in play. That's too bad. Too bad for me. We can still recover from this. I mean, that was a good turn. Now they exile our thing. We'll have to spend Firecraft to kill that. Oh no, we get to play hero. I don't know what all these activations are. It says, whenever it attacks, creatures with power 1 or less can't block. So that's a trigger. It's a funny trigger. And then Battle Cry is a trigger. So it doesn't matter the order. Unlike the white hero, where the order matters a ton. Because either the creatures you make will get the bonus or they won't, depending on how you stack them. Hint, stack the bonus first. More spirits. More creatures that can kill our hero here. The hero of our story. Oh wait, no, they can't kill it because of its abilities. That's so good. They're gonna stifle the trigger so that they can block it. It is possible. There's one of the counter spells, I forget what it's called. Not Dissolve. It's a 3 mana thing that counters target spell or like triggered ability or something. What is it? Kolagon's Command. Why did that take so long? What do we discard? think we can get away with discarding the Firecraft here. And we should not have played the land, apparently. But I'm almost happy they killed the hero rather than this. We're looking at a ton of burn. The grafted war gear makes all of these things into monsters. Monsters that are too hard to block even with both spirits. Exodia over here. Batterskull is not fun for us, but we draw a card that prevents them from gaining life, so at least that's a thing. They're going to have to invest a lot of mana to keep this going. Right, they can't bring back Batterskull and re-equip it next turn. They can just re-equip it. They're not interested in that. I just hope they don't kill Rampaging Ferocidon. And it is 5/2 equip, so that'd be their whole turn to put it on a spirit. Wow, Blood Crypt takes them down to 10. Don't kill the Ferocidon. Most Planeswalkers could do it, so Banefire would do it. Now they're gaining way too much, and we don't have the mana up to stop the lifelink. That is too bad. So what does this turn look like? This turn's going to be strange. We attack with everything. We sacrifice the goblin that the germ blocks to kill the spirit, and we get in for 1 damage. What changes if we play Lightning Mauler? Then they gain the 4. And I don't want them to do that. Yeah, I don't want them to do that right away. They'll block the big one. So let's go ahead. Sacrifice this thing. We can't do this trick too many more times. And there's 14 life, so it's looking bad. Difficult for a mono red deck to beat Batterskull or Wormcoil Engine, any kind of lifelink creature. Get the Mauler out. Don't Soul Bond, because this can be the key to getting some haste later. And then let's go ahead and equip the War Gear to the Mauler. Because I wouldn't mind trading, I think I wouldn't mind trading the Mauler with the Germ here, just to slow them down. Puts him back up to 17. Oh, joy. Oh no! We F6'd the Burst Lightning, we missed out on 2 damage. And the reason we do this is they can't get it back so easily. They have to spend a couple turns. A couple of big mistakes this game. It's too bad. I have no idea what they have left, but they know they're going to have to invest a whole turn into Batterskull. So maybe we just get in our hit and put them down to, well, pretty close to 17. Or pretty close to 10. Anguished Unmaking. Yeah, I think this is their game. Because they also get to return their thing there. Release the Gremlins. Sure, I think that artifact is good enough that we just need a way to deal with it. Then what? I like Greater Gargadon in this matchup. It's able to sacrifice chump blockers against the lifelinkers, and then yeah, two big mistakes that game. It's too bad. Reckoner, Arc Trail. I'll take those two out. They're both fine. The whole deck's pretty good though, and I'd rather go wide with this plan. On the play here. No, this is like the dream hand. If only this was red mana. Even then we still have to draw our second mana, but yeah, this has to be a mulligan. A bit better. A bit better. We kind of even have our one drop here. It doesn't matter where we put this because we're going to take it away. A million turns from now we'll have a 9/7 haste. Another reason not to F6, but oh well. Get all our upkeep triggers going. So this is something we can use at any time in response to removal. Burning Rage, Stagger Shock, quite nice with the Shrine. Activating it twice. Do we want to do that? It's kind of like 6 damage to them. I think we save it. We don't have much going on here. So I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to use it later, and it could be much better. Okay, Hero of Oxid Ridge, running into all the kind of counter magic they could have here. It's the big thing you worry about, but it's not punished too bad by any random removal. The big thing here would be Kolagon's command, but at least we'd get 2 time counters off of Greater Gargadon. They do not have it. That is lucky. Yeah, 2 damage to this, destroy target artifact. Game over. Now they can make red. A pretty consistent mountain in that deck. And Banefire. So let's not miss the correct plays here. That would have killed it. Instead, let's get some value out of it. Grubs gets another counter on the Shrine. The Shrine is getting pretty intimidating. We could have even sacrificed down to very few permanents here to attack with Greater Gargadon, which might be the play this next turn. I'll just run out Stagger Shock. Boy, is it scary to run out Stagger Shock, though. Sweltering Suns. They're casting it, so that kills our poor grubs. So we'll have to eat them up first. And then yeah, let's go for it. Stagger Shock them so that we don't need lands. Get another counter here. Rebound. If they have if they have some kind of bounce, then we're in bad shape with this Gargadon. So instead of that, let's just hold up our Shrine and respond to other kind of things they could have. Do we use the Shrine now? No, I don't think we do. Or rather, it might be fine to do but it might not be bad to do it later. Anyway, let's see if we can get a hit in here. Or do we want to try to get Greater Gargadon on the field? Really close. This is some tough stuff right here. Yeah, I just want to attack. I don't want to sacrifice lands because Hazoret is another way to win. So we have lots of ways to win here, but taking advantage of some of them make it harder for the other ways to win. So let us see if we can hit with Karizev. Oh, and if they're doing this at begin combat, that's scary. Murderous Cut. All right. Not too bad. And then I will use Greater Gargadon. So we play this. And they scatter it. And then what? Oh no. And then our shrine has to survive. Yeah, but I don't want to cast Hazoret and then have them kill the shrine. So Hazoret will be a nice surprise for next turn. So here, Sorin does a good job of getting a life back. No, don't redirect, because now Hazoret attacks them with haste and wins. Hopefully. Come on, Hazoret. Alright, we got there. Mulliganed, didn't matter. Got there in the end. Pact of Negation, yeah, that's one of the counter spells you have to be careful about. Banefire. Gargadon was good there. I mean, you didn't have to sacrifice our whole mana base and get it countered for it to be good. It just kind of traded a land. Mire. Get the only land we know how to get. And curve out. We could be attacking for 6 next turn. And we have the answer. We have the answer to that nonsense. Chromatic Lantern, that's another good one to kill here. It's possible that could bite us. But I think given the opportunity, we just kill this. And then they don't have Batterskull next turn. And now they're going to try to kill the Chainwalker? They might have done that anyway. Oh, I don't want them to counter more stuff. This poor little dude. Alright, let's suspend the Gargadon, because they have all their mana up here, and we can kind of sacrifice both if it comes to it. Otherwise we get in a clean 5. Looks like they're F6'd. Why would they? Yeah, I don't know what they're going to have in their hand if they F6'd from this. Now they've got 6 mana up. In the colors that like to play instants. We'll play this thing. Newly controlled. Play Koth. Pact of Negation Koth. That seems okay. Because that takes up their whole turn. Next turn, hopefully. Should have killed their land with that 1/2 mana spell, although we can't really do that. They didn't find another land, so it's not looking good for them. It's really not. Can we get Gargadon into play this turn? Not in a useful way. Yeah, no, I guess we do get it in, because then we attack for 13. Awesome, on to the finals. We meet a friendly Quaker in the finals. Quaker 171, that's about how many there are. And this hand. This is a risky hand. I think we can do better, especially on the play. Try not to lose just to our inability to draw another land. What about this Rabblemaster? Yeah, let's top that. I'm sure we can find a land in like 5 turns or so. But I won't play Scalding Tarn here. I guess it doesn't matter if we play it, it's just we don't have to use it. I'm gonna use it now. And get our little grub friends. These guys are pretty cute for how aggressive they are. And how much of an infestation they are. Thriving grubs. Oh man. That whole thriving cycle was pretty cool. What is this thing? Bramaz, that's pretty cool. It shuts us down. Play the Lightning Mauler just to have some options next turn, but no need to soul bond it anywhere. Guess I should have bottomed the Rabblemaster, because our 2-drops aren't very good to cast on turn 2, not in this hand. No, I'm sure they take the Mauler because they're not afraid of the grubs right here. Might be a good idea to start getting down some first strike things. Okay, that does it. And then once we get 3 mana, we can kill the Bramaz. That's what Firecraft is good for. Not out of it yet. And for the first time ever, first strike on Kari Zev has been relevant. So we get to kill this cat soldier. In fact, they should have attacked with both. Just get 1 more damage in there. Legionnaire, come on. Yeah, it works. Well, now we can double block Bramaz, assuming they don't have anything else for us, like an Anthem effect. Geist is gonna do a pretty good job killing us as well. No. Flash? A pacifism with Flash? Yeah. The first... An interesting question here is whether or not we even survive. I think we just barely survive. 8. Yeah, I guess we have to block something like this. And all our creatures live. And we kill their Angel Maker. And we kill Bramaz. That has to be the first step here. We're at 2. White doesn't have too many haste creatures. They have angels. Mana Tithe. Yikes. Yeah, so we're dead because we can't block 2 of the cat soldiers. That was a fun one. We can do better. Maybe Gargadon is the answer. Maybe, but maybe not. I'm going to submit like this. And we're both all aggro. No time for mulligans. Keep this awkward hand. Part of me wants to play Mountain to hit Searing Blaze on turn 2, but I think that's unlikely enough that they'll have a 1-drop. that we can just try to attack with our Mutavault, right? Get in there, little everything. Land creature, all types. Yeah, let's cast a spell. Get it censored. It resolves! We did it! And they would definitely censor there if they had it. Well, depending. Isolation... Oh, Isolation really does mess this thing up, because now it can't even attack. Like, it can attack, it just doesn't do damage. Oh man. So Geist is going to be a pain to deal with. Fortunately, we have Koth, but that also doesn't do anything. Wow, surprisingly hard to deal with Geist of St. Traft. Who would have thought? It buys us some time. But that doesn't really matter. It gets 4 damage in. Maybe it's better just to get Hazoret out there, even though it can't attack this turn. Get in for 1. The other option, I didn't really consider this, but if we play Koth there and leave our Thopter back, we can save Koth for a turn, attack again, and then it survives an Angel hit. Oh no. Are they going to copy Geist? What do they copy here? Pia's pretty good. Of course, we have Arc Trail to deal with that. Oh boy, we want to use up the cards in our hand, but that's not so easy. It's not super easy. We could Koth into Arc Trail and to block the Angel token and use Koth the next turn. They get to embalm this eventually, embalms for 5. That's pretty good. We don't have a way to exile it. We're losing so quickly to this Geist. Not a ton that we can do. Okay, let's do this. Arc Trail these guys. And then attack for 3. Mutavault plus Thopter coming in. Heck, even Pia can come in. Shadow and all that. Archangel of Thune? We don't have a way to deal with that. We don't even have a way to deal with this Geist. Like, we can't even block it. Noble doesn't help. We can actually deal with the Archangel. So just kill that, play a blocker, leave everything back, hope they have nothing. Sounds like a plan. Because this is the last time we get to take a hit from the Angel. We lose to any bounce. They're happy enough just getting us down to 4. Killing all of our stuff. And just getting it back anyway. Yep, this is what we sign up for. Now, we could get a creature back by stealing their Sun Titan. And yeah, maybe that's okay. Is there any chance we kill them this turn? Not really. we need less cards in our hand to get close to doing that. 9. So we do Koth and then Searing Blaze. That doesn't really do it. Koth, and then we have 5 mana left over. If we use the minus, then we could steal Sun Titan, get something irrelevant back, and we still have no blockers. If only Pio died here. Alright, looks like we are well and truly out of it. But let's go out with a bang here. Which way? Yeah. Koth minus, and that activates Hazaret. -2. Conscripts to steal Sun Titan. Sun Titan to get back whatever. Put them down to whatever. It's a funny attack, because if we attack like this, they have to block with the Geist. They can get the Geist back, but they don't get to attack with it right away. So the problem is we don't have a blocker left over for Sun Titan. And if we don't attack with everything, they don't have to block. Oh, we do have a blocker. The Noble. Good thing this game plays itself, because yeah, weird. So they jump Sun Titan, they take 8, and they might not kill us. And then we have a lot of good stuff on the board. Any bounce would do it. Getting my hopes up here. Elvish Norn. That also does it. Alright, we definitely went out with a bang here. Thanks for watching, and good luck in your drafts. They even get this thing back. It's too much. That is too much.